Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this new series that we're going to be looking at, the Balboa Chronicles, Life Lessons from the Italian Stallion. And in this series, we're going to take a look at the Rocky films, some of the quotes, some of the scenes across just about all of the films, and see what we can pull out of there, some of the important life lessons. As an author, I'm often asked who my favorite writer is. And it's an easy, swift answer. Although there are many authors I admire. I love several different types of writing, from fiction to nonfiction, theology, and philosophy. And I could give you a list of a whole lot of wonderful, talented writers. But my favorite is kind of a non-traditional choice. And I've been following his work since around 1983, when my dad introduced me to the works this man was producing. 41 years later, I'm still highly impacted and inspired by his writing. I've learned so many valuable lessons and based many of my values on the writings of this absolute underdog. His writings have challenged me and inspired me. They've moved me to tears, and to be quite honest, they've even comforted me in times of grief and loss. But the thing is, I haven't actually read any of that writing. I've listened to it. I've watched it play out on the silver screen and on my TV at home. My favorite writer was born in the tough circumstances in Hell's Kitchen in New York in 1946. My favorite writer is a screenwriter. Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone was born an underdog. Complications during his first moments in the world forced his mother's doctors to use forceps during his birth, and an accident with those forceps severed a nerve, causing paralysis in parts of his face, including parts of his lip, tongue, and chin. And this accident on the day of his birth may have seemed like a curse because of the angry look and slurred speech, but it gave him a very specific, recognizable look and an instantly recognizable voice that would go on to be known all over the world for decades to come. Still, one can only imagine the hardships and the bullying that he endured as a child. But despite all these challenges, Sylvester Stallone went on to become one of cinema's greatest action heroes. But his big break came in 1976 with a low-budget film he had written when it made its way to the silver screen. That film won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and Stallone also starred in the lead role of that film, which would spawn 8 sequels between 1979 and 2023. And that film, of course, was Rocky. The character Rocky Balboa has become synonymous with the word underdog because Rocky is most definitely the king of the underdogs, the long shots. He's the everyman, the 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Maybe he's the 1,000,000-to-none shot. He's the least likely. He embodies the hopes and dreams of millions of people, and he's a hero to so many because it feels like Rocky is one of us. He's so relatable and so much like us that he makes us consider, if Rocky can do it, maybe I can too. And over the course of 9 films, we've walked with Rocky. We've been with him when he was at least half a bum, fighting in the clubs, and when he was champion of the world. We've been with him when he was estranged from his son, and we've been with him alone in the cemetery as a grieving widower. We've been with him in the gym, and in the ring, and in his restaurant, and in every high and low in between. In many ways, we've lived vicariously through Rocky. And as he told his son once, "I like to live through your eyes, kid." Personally, Rocky's always kind of felt like sort of an uncle to me. You know, the kind of uncle who's also a friend, someone you can rely on, that kind of gives you good advice. And as the films have continued, naturally, Rocky's gotten older. Fans didn't really expect to see him again after Rocky V in 1990. Stallone was just 44 years old then, and as I'm writing this, I'm now 46. Thankfully, the story picked up again in 2006 with the film Rocky Balboa, when Stallone was 60 years old. I say all of that because sometimes our favorite movie stars or movie characters or book characters seem to be, they're kind of just frozen in time, right? For example, the kids from the Goonies, they'll always be kids. We'll never see how they grew or what happened to them beyond their adolescence and their adventures in that first movie. We'll never know their whole story. With Rocky, we first met him at the age of 30 and last saw him in Creed II at the age of 72. Aside from his childhood and 20s, we've seen his entire life as the real years have passed. And we've seen how he's handled all sorts of challenges and seasons of life while we've gotten older along with him. Our lives running parallel to his. As a result, there's so many lessons that our tender-hearted uncle can teach us. In many ways, Stallone's personal and professional life seem to mirror Rocky's journey. A rise from obscurity to the top of the world and then back down to the bottom professionally before making an unexpected comeback and revival in the past decade or so. You know, he didn't win an Oscar for his portrayal of Rocky in 1976, but he did win a Golden Globe for his portrayal of Rocky in the first Creed movie in 2016, exactly 40 years later. It was his first ever Golden Globe. It just goes to show that it's never too late to learn, it's never too late to make a comeback, and it's never too late to make big changes. And as Rocky said to Mason Dixon in Rocky Balboa,
"It doesn't over till it's over."
This series that we're going to do is about looking at several of the moments from the Rocky franchise. Moments that have been meaningful to me and so many others. And I want to examine those moments and quotes a little more deeply and share what I've learned along the way. Things I've tried to apply to my own life. I've spent a lot of time reflecting and revisiting these scenes over the years. And I believe they have a certain depth that can speak to anyone, whether you've seen the films or not. Although if you haven't watched them, I am strongly encouraging you to do so. They truly are special, and they go far beyond being mere sports movies. They're actually really good metaphors for life. As Stallone himself has always said, that Rocky's not a boxing movie. It's a love story. That small revelation gives us insight into his mindset and how he views this story. There are as many cautionary tales in the Rocky series as there are heroic journeys. And I believe we can see many traits to aspire toward as well as many characteristics to be wary of. So thank you so much for stepping into the ring with me as we take a deeper look into the world of one of the most fascinating and enduring characters ever written. The world of Robert Rocky Balboa, the Italian Stallion. I hope you'll stick with me until the final bell as we explore the Balboa Chronicles. If you like this kind of content and you'd like to be updated when new videos come out, please consider subscribing and liking the videos. But more than that, I would love to see you comment in the comment section and share your thoughts on the scenes and the quotes that we put out in this series. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to discuss those with you, but it really would go a long way to helping the channel if you'd consider subscribing. And in the immortal words of the great philosopher Apollo Creed,
All right. Ding, ding.